The arctangent function, written arctan x or tan to the negative 1 power of x, is the inverse of the tangent function. Like all inverse functions, the input and output switch. Here's an example. Tan of pi over 4 equals 1 implies arctan of 1 equals pi over 4. The table gives tangent and inverse tangent values for some first quadrant arcs. There's no more information in one column than in the other. It's simply a matter of switching the inputs and the outputs to get from the tangent column to the inverse tangent column. Note tan of pi over 2 is undefined. The tangent function is not one-to-one. There are infinitely many inputs for any output in the range. For instance, tan of pi over 4 equals 1, tan of 5 pi over 4 equals 1, and tangent of 9 pi over 4 equals 1. Earlier, we accepted that tan of pi over 4 equals 1 implies that arctan of 1 equals pi over 4. However, tan of 5 pi over 4 equals 1 does not imply that arctan of 1 equals 5 pi over 4. There can only be one output for arctan 1, namely, arctan of 1 is pi over 4 only. To create the inverse tangent function, the domain of tangent function needed to be restricted to create a one-to-one function so that there's no confusion. There are many ways to restrict the domain of the tangent function to create a one-to-one function. By agreement, the restriction that is universally accepted is for x between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2. By restricting the domain for x between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2, all of the range values are achieved exactly once, making the restricted function one-to-one and hence making the function invertible. Here are the graphs of the restricted tangent function and its inverse. Domain of tan x is equal to the range of arctan x, negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. The range of tan x is equal to the domain of arctan x, which is negative infinity to positive infinity.